Yo, what's happening everybody, KingGBL here. Today I'm going to be showcasing my Legend run in the Retro Cup, featuring brand new Shadow Aurorus. I got really lucky yesterday, woke up around 5:30 AM, checked my rocket balloon. Lo and behold, we had a Shadow Mora with IVs of 114.7. I think it's a rank 17 if I remember correctly. I didn't really know what to use in this cup, but as soon as I seen that, I just knew I had to use it. Very insane IVs. And in this cup, Aurorus is decently high ranked. I kind of expected this cup to be very dragon heavy. In the past versions of this cup, we've seen double dragon and triple dragon teams, maybe like a flyer, double non-flying dragon team. I just knew Aurorus could be very good. I didn't quite expect Grumpig and Ferret to be quite as strong as they are. This season, the meta's definitely shifted away from things like Oranguru, Girafarig, which you're seeing on screen right now, because things like Ferret demolish it, and even Grumpig as an opposing psychic type just straight up beats Oranguru and probably straight up beats Giraffe as well. So the meta's definitely a little bit different this time around, but even with not as many dragons, Aurorus just dominated. A very fun Pokemon, and I highly recommend going out and hunting for it. It's in both Ice Grunts and Rock Grunts, which is really nice, so you have a really good chance of getting it, so I do highly recommend doing that. If you're looking to evolve it in the daytime, you can use the Adventure effect from Necrozma, Dawnwings, is that what it's called? I'm terrible with the names of that Pokemon, but definitely well worth going after in my opinion. Anyway guys, welcome back to the channel, hope you're all having a fantastic day. I've not done a shoutcast for about a month here at this point, so big welcome into everybody. I've not really had any good content to showcase over the last couple of, well, I would say a couple of weeks to a month. I've had a very tricky time in GBL, between Spring Cup, Great League Remix, and yeah, just generally not doing super well in Open Great League. I haven't really had a lot of things to showcase, so apologies for the lack of uploads, but big thank you everybody for tuning in today. I do want to say a big shout out to Henry for showcasing my run up to 3220. The team I'm showcasing today is different to that team. This is the original team I used to hit Legend, and I used the Henry team to go on ahead and hit 3221, which as of today gets me up to 108 I believe in the leaderboards, so definitely very happy with that. I do think this team right here has a lot of play. So we're running Aurorus in the lead, we're running Pig as the safe swap, and Jumpluff as the closer. Jumpluff is very strong in this cup. There will be some dragon teams having Fairy Wind for the dragons, and all up bulk is really good. I'm running it with Energy Ball, just because of course Aurorus is very weak to like Mud Slap and ground type Pokemon. I want to have that extra coverage, and I think Energy Ball can definitely take a few teams by surprise. Arguably you could just go for Acrobatics because it does hit a lot harder, and arguably you could run Shadow. I just wanted some extra bulk here because of course we're running Shadow Aurorus in the lead. With all that being said, let's hop into the battles. Drop a like in the video. Share this video with your friends. That's right, share it with your friends. Does anybody actually do that? Does anybody actually share videos with their friends? I don't think they do. Anyway, hopping into the battle here, we've got Oranguru. I might lose this battle, I can't quite remember. Is this the draft team? This was a pretty common sort of team. Yeah, double confusion. This thing is on tackle, for goodness sake. They're gonna Psychic Fangs me here. This is just gonna, yeah, mess me up. I don't know, maybe I should have stayed in against the lead this game. I just kind of thought they were weak to it in the back. Like, why would you not swap out if you're taking super effective damage with your dragon? I just don't really understand that. We get a very uncommon lead here, guys, very uncommon lead. I was kind of surprised to lose CMP. Aurorus is not a Pokemon I've used in Great League before, which is kind of all the more reason why I was super happy to get these IVs. It took me so long to get a good Aurorus for Great League. I've never ended up using it that much. I think I might have used it in Battlefront Tier 1 season. The opponent ends up making a call here. Because we're Shadow Aurorus, we're going to shield the second Trailblaze, farm it all the way down, and in comes Talonflame here. This is actually not that bad of a match for Aurorus. You can basically go straight Weather Ball. If you land a Meteor Beam, it's goodbye Talonflame. So yeah, this is kind of awkward at this point, because of course we have the Grumpig here. We have the Jumpluff in the back. Surprisingly, they go for Fly, so they must be in Flame Charge. Flame Charge I think is quite decent for this cup, but in these types of scenarios, you really miss Brave Bird. I think it's basically a must with this Pokemon. We take out the Talonflame. They say, I'm out. GG's, thanks for playing. Not too sure what would have been in the back there, but we'll definitely take that win. And we're definitely going to take this lead. Shadow Dragonite. This is what we're hunting for in the lead. In the coming days, I'm expecting to see a lot more Dragonites, Jumpluffs, and Talonflame leads. I think it'll be basically like that RPS trio in the lead quite soon. So I think this team could definitely be very high performing. The team that actually Henry recommended to me, and that I showcased on Henry's channel, I think that team is probably going to get hunted somewhat. Jumpluff is one of the few Pokemon that can core break that. Talonflame somewhat core breaks it. Doesn't quite beat Grumpig, I don't think, but it does well enough into both Pokemon where it's viable. So you're definitely going to see that starting to get hunted, and I think that's kind of where Aurorus lead might come in. I've not really seen a ton of fighting leads. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do know that, of course, Ferret lead is relatively common. You would have seen it probably once this video already, and you'll see it at least once or twice more here. The opponent farms no time with Dragonite. Dragonite, of course, able to throw a superpower. We're going to wait our switch clock down, come in with Aurorus, farm it all the way down. That Powder Snow just absolutely wrecked it. We're definitely shielding this. They do go for superpower, which is nice, and then they bring in Grumpig. We'll outpace to the move here. Meteor Beam will be looking to one-shot this. The opponent absolutely has to shield it. They do shield it. We come into our own Grumpig here. If you've got decent enough IVs, unless you're running like a hundo or like 10 attack or whatever, you do take the Shadow Ball, so we can just let this go. Aurorus is healthy, definitely healthy enough to take out Dragonite, and yeah, this will be curtains for the opponent. I just like calling that move because I know I definitely survive it, and I know that if they bait me, it could get a little bit awkward. Basically, no reason to shield that move. In comes Arctibax, a decent lead, but not quite as good as you would think, because look at the Dragon Breaths add up here. I threaten the Meteor Beam, go for Weather Ball. They of course win CMP. Could have went for the extra move there, pretty unfortunate. I do have to shield that Dragon Claw. I do think I would survive it, but I do want to keep some health from this if possible. Opponent shields that move. I realise they're going to IPS me to the second Dragon Claw, so I go ahead and get this off here. Opponent lets it go. I come into the Grumpig safe swap, and you guys are about to see that Grumpig is a fantastic safe swap in this meta. That's why this core is so good, because even against one of its worst counters in Ferret, in the one shield scenario, this is actually very decent for Grumpig. We can take any one move here. The opponent goes for Trailblaze to boost up their sucker punches. That's perfectly fine by me. And we're even going to get off a Shadow Ball on the opposing Grumpig. So it's kind of funny, it's one of these ones where Grumpig is one of the best answers to the Grumpig and Ferret core in that kind of shielding scenario. Likewise with Ferret up energy against opposing Ferrets is kind of one of the best answers. As Henry mentioned, I think in his video yesterday, it's kind of like the old Lickitung matchups. Lickitung is the best answer to Lickitung. That's definitely the type of feeling I'm getting with this cup as well. Anyway, we get a 4-1 to start off with. I started off today on 29-21. We're getting a 4-1 to start off with, which is beautiful. That's going to put us up to 29-64, and we're basically 1-4 away from Legend. Love to see it. In the next battle here, we have XOXOXO with his Ferret lead. Okay, so this is a relatively decent match for Aurorus. We can basically threaten the one-shot with the Meteor Beam. We do have to respect the first move here. Trailblaze on the Shadow will basically put us into Sucker Punch down range. If you've got none Shadow, you can basically let that go. If you want to play with the Zero Shield with your Aurorus, that's perfectly fine, but of course we're trying to showcase this Pokemon. We make a very nasty catch on the jump bluff, and this is a pretty decent position here. The opponent likely has Grumpig in the back, but they do bring in their own jump bluff quite interestingly here. Of course the opponent wants to get some usage out of this Pokemon. I've got a very strong answer to it in Aurorus. The opponent wants to bring this in, give it a neutral matchup, and try to get some sort of use out of this and knock it aligned to the thing later on. We win CMP, which you love to see. We're going to get the second move off, and I think because the opponent might be misaligned, I might consider swapping out here at this point, reserving the jump off. We bring in the Aurorus, we're going to get ahead in energy again, the opponent's ready for the swap. However, because we caught the Trailblaze, we're just so far ahead in energy. This won't quite knock them out, but will put them into farm down range. They don't even get off a Swift, which would be deadly at this range, and we're in a probably quite decent position here. If the opponent does bring in Grumpig, it's going to get nuked. They actually bring in Claydol, which is quite interesting here. Claydol Ferret core is definitely a very decent one as well. We don't quite make two moves, unfortunately, but we still have a healthy Claydol, or sorry, a healthy jump bluff. We still have a Grumpig in the back, which from this range will be very close to one-shotting it. I let the Rock Tomb go, knowing that the Energy Ball won't be enough to KO. I'd rather keep the shield for the Grumpig here at this point. It's 14 turns to this move. The opponent's using a free turn move, so we can throw immediately for good timing. After landing that Shadow Ball, I was starting to feel a little bit anxious about this now, because it's like, damn, if I put myself into a range to get farmed down, this could be awkward. They're kind of in an awkward position to farm down. The opponent goes for Aerialise here with the jump off. I like to get rid of this, knowing that the opponent is 15 turns away from a move. We definitely outpace to a Dynamic Punch, and we're certainly healthy enough to absorb all these Mud Slaps. Good games well played for that one. Pretty awkward, pretty neutralish lead. We made a nice catch and we were able to take that win there. Fantastic lead with jump off here. Again, this is what we're hunting for. In comes Dusknoir. Whenever the opponent swaps in a free turn move, you can throw in 6 if you're using a 2-turn move for good timing here. We get this move off right here. We go for the 1-and-catch here. If the opponent full sends a Dynamic Punch, which they never will to be fair, that would have been a very nice catch. However, this is Non-Shadow Dusk versus Non-Shadow Jumpluff. Jumpluff, very bulky here. I decided to respect this for some reason. I wonder why I was thinking that. I guess I kind of thought that if they land that second move, they can basically force switch on me. I did not want to miss a line because I'm assuming that they've got some sort of an answer in the back right. Here it is. The opponent comes into Skeledirge. This is not really easy because of course Shadow Ball will be looking to take me out. I think I decided to call a Torch Song or like whatever else they have. They go for Blast Burn of all things. I bait with the Dynamic Punch for absolutely no reason because I don't think I make a second move here. But I guess I am trying to put the opponent under pressure here. Very funny play. I think at this point, it's time to probably sacrifice the jump off. We do make an Aerialise unless the opponent throws a move here. I end up throwing on 3, you should throw on 4 here. I absolutely my pants. Jumpluff is able to take care of the Skeledirge. The opponent makes a very nice catch. I was surprised how well they were counting here at this point. I was only 2 off the move, the opponent knew that. We had a fantastic catch, but unfortunately for them, this match is just so dominant, we can one-shot it basically with the Aurorus, and that's good games well played. So here's what you would consider to be somewhat of a negative lead. By the way, shout out to Give Me Your Arms, aka Thomas. He said to me that with my IVs, I'm able to beat this straight Weather Ball in the 2 shield, which is kind of an interesting thing to know here. I'm just out here YOLOing meter beams. If this goes for real, absolutely one-shot the pig. Goodbye, in comes Primeape, we're out of here. This is the tiniest little pig I've ever seen. This little pig monkey. The opponent goes for Rage Fist, you always no-shield the first one, and in comes Ferret. As I mentioned earlier, this is nice to draw this out with Grumpig. We are in a bit of a tricky position because the opponent's up a shield. They do end up giving it back to me here with the Grumpig, but they do get a lot of energy in return. I kind of have to bring in my Aurorus here to either sacrifice it or shield and get a shield down. I think that's what I decide to do. I think I shield to get the shield down, because Jump Bluff would be a lot better here with shields down. I'm going to commit to the move. I don't think I'm going to make it. So we throw a Weather Ball here. Hopefully the opponent's not counting perfectly. But if I do land this, it will do pretty heavy damage. Now, unfortunately, I think I am in Swift range here. That does take me out, of course, with the boost, and it's all up to Jump Bluff at this point. I think from the opponent's perspective, Ferret is their win con. Primeape definitely very bad into Jump Bluff. I'm anticipating the catch here. The opponent's probably hoping that I go for like an Acrobatics here, use a lot of unnecessary energy on the Primeape, and then look to try and sweep with the Ferret. I think we're probably in about double Swift range, so that was probably the best play from the opponent. Thankfully, I was able to predict it, and hopping into the next one, we have Talonflame. If they have Flame Charge, I believe this would be a winning match for them. They swap into Dewgong of all things. Ladies and gents, this Dewgong is going to be getting meated and greeted by the Meteor Beam. The opponent shits their pants, and we catch this move on Grumpig. This is pretty unfortunate. We don't one-shot this even before the Icy Wind debuff, so it is definitely kind of annoying getting this debuff here. We go for the Dynamic Punch as soon as we can get it off. Look to try and force some heavy damage through on the Dewgong. They do take it. They don't have to shield that move. And likewise, I don't really have to shield this. The unfortunate thing is they can flip this if they want to, but they actually do come back into Talonflame. This is nice. We do get a double debuff Shadow Ball off on this, and that'll put it cleanly into Weather Ball range. Basically, all we have to do is avoid this with the Jump Bluff. It's a tricky call. A Brave Bird would hurt a lot here. The opponent goes for a Fly, which, you know, even though resisted, Aurorus, definitely the Shadow is pretty glassy. It's on the glassier side. Talonflame is a bit more attack weighted. I still sort of have to shield here. I'm half expecting the Brave Bird at this point. The opponent does not go for it. They go for the catch in Dewgong. The Dewgong is going to get absolutely melted by the Meteor Beam. I decide to fully charge it here, get rid of this Dewgong, and the opponent comes into this. We're going to definitely look to go for Weather Ball here. This should put the opponent in range for one Aerialius, and I can overfarm with Jump Bluff quite a lot here. I just need to come out with an Aerialius for the Talonflame, or at least come out like 1 or 2 Fairy Winds off, because of course Talonflame would win CMP if they had the move. So as long as I'm 1 or 2 off, that's basically fine. Otherwise the opponent will be forced to dump energy. They come in for the swap into Talonflame. We're basically ready for it. We've got the energy built up. We go for the move straight away, and back in comes the Charger Bug, and the opponent concedes the match. So yeah, good games well played there. We get another 4-1, and ladies and gents, that will be enough to hit Legend. 2964. I think we end up on 3008 elo here after this set, and we still have another set to showcase. With this team, I won 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, so I definitely recommend checking out this team. As I mentioned, it's different to the team that Henry showcased, so it's a little bit more under the radar, but I think this is a very, very strong Aurorus team if you want to check it out. Anyway, Dragonite lead, we outpaced the first move. I don't want to shield or take an Aqua Tail here, so I probably safe swap. I think that's definitely the way to go. The opponent's actually staying in against the Aurorus, which indicates they're probably weak in the back. The opponent ends up bringing in, is this a Corsola? Sorry, let me have a look. It is Corsola. They take the Shadow Ball here, and we're definitely very happy with that. I can end up CMPing on a Dynamic Punch. I think they farmed, I can't remember, I think they farmed up to 7 here. So if I came in with Aurorus without landing this Dynamic Punch, I think they would have got off probably another Nightshade. So I'm definitely happy with this. We get some energy, and assuming that they're ABI weak here, I decide to swap straight out again. The opponent comes into Dragonite. They're chipping the Jump Bluff, which is really nice. So I am wondering, is it like ABI Dragon or something like that? Some kind of crazy team. The opponent goes for another Body Slam. If they shield this, this should be a pretty strong indication of what this is. We build up to back-to-back aces. If the opponent shields, we can basically farm it down. They let it go, and they come into this, of all things, Hakamoto, which is of course double weak to Fairy, fighting in Dragon type. They take the move, we come into Aurorus, our powder snowing it. The opponent sees the writing on the wall. That's good games. In the next battle, we have a terrible lead in the Primeape. We have to get out of this matchup. We have 2 strong answers to it in the back. The opponents sometimes are inclined to stay in and chip, which is really nice. It misaligns the switch clock in my favour, and we do get a lot of Psywave damage in there. The opponent brings in the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. We go for the Shadow Ball on 9 here, just before their second Incinerate completes. The opponent shields up the move, and they will unfortunately be able to Incinerate us down. The opponent has got a lot of Incinerates here, and they can definitely start unleashing it on us. I decide I sort of have to let this go. It is going to be a Primeape, so like I can't really afford to go too crazy with this. I will shield the second move here, because Primeape is glassy, we're in the 1-to-1 shields, so if I can 4 and throw, look to get rid of this, and maybe swap out, get a Powder Snow later on with something else, I can potentially look to do something with Aurorus versus Primeape. The opponent brings in a Lapras, we've got the Jump Off here, we've got Energy Ball. This is definitely a lot better for me in this situation. Now the opponent hasn't thrown yet, which kind of indicates they're in Skull Bash. However, it's possible that they build up a Skull Bash and bait the Ice Beam right, make it look like they've got Skull Bash, make me think I can take the move, and then go for Ice Beam. They actually are in Skull Bash, which I think for this meta is definitely the wrong moveset. I think Ice Beam just offers so much versatility. Unfortunately, they shielded the first move. I anticipate the catch, the opponent comes into Primeape, and we go for the Aurelius right away here, and basically what we can look to do is come into Aurorus, force the opponent to dump their Sparkling Aria as soon as possible here. We can come back in with Jump Off. Jump Off will live a Skull Bash from this range, so again, if they had the right moveset, I definitely lose this battle. It's kind of crazy how good Lapras is into Jump Off. However, had the opponent not buffed their defense earlier, that Energy Ball would have been doing a lot more damage. So I think even if they did have Ice Beam, the match would have played out differently. I was up energy, so I land the Energy Ball anyway, and I should be able to maybe overfarm with Aurorus and take that win anyway. In comes Grumpig here. Aurorus, not got the greatest matchup against it. Definitely up energy, it's pretty decent. A Meteor Beam can look to one-shot, but of course they have double super effective Dynamic Punch. Not really a very good matchup for you. Again, these sort of neutral matchups is where you definitely want to have the Acrobatics. After playing this out for a while, I sort of did miss Acrobatics. We do survive this next Shadow Ball, however, if we let this go, the opponent can commit to taking Swap. I don't necessarily mind that. We can probably look to get a farm down with one of our back two here. Maybe come in for Aurorus, get a farm down. Shield once, farm it all the way down. Or we could look to Sidewave it down. I think it's a little bit healthy for the Sidewave down, so I think we like to go for this with the Aurorus. This can only be a Dynamic Punch, no reason not to shield this, and we're basically just hoping the opponent does not make another one. We're going to Powder Snow it down, that's fantastic for me here, and the opponent ends up bringing in a Medi. Of course, Medi will look to one-shot the Aurorus with Dynamic Punch. I swap out, look to draw out the Emolga. Up energy, we should be pretty decent here with the Grumpig. I was kind of surprised how little that done. I thought it would do a little bit more damage, but I think the opponent realizes the Sidewaves are just completely ripping through them. This match is basically over and they do concede the match. We have an Ice Fang Arctibax in the lead, which is definitely quite interesting. This is definitely a lot better for me than, of course, if they had Dragon Breath. I shield the first move here. I didn't necessarily need to shield that move, but the opponent is bringing Grumpig. We're not messing around, we're full sending the Meteor Beam. Do we land it? We do not, unfortunately. Unfortunately, in these battles here, we didn't get to land a lot of Meteor Beams. In the video I sent into Henry, as we climbed up a lot of elo, people like to call moves a lot more, and I was able to land so many Meteor Beams for shields. We do land a move here, we'll look to land the second one, and we'll see what the opponent wants to do with it here. They can take shield advantage, or they can look to take swap. They take shield advantage, come in with this, and I'm going to look to get off a Weather Ball as soon as possible. Because we're boosted, this should do a decent amount of damage, and I think I look to safe swap out of here potentially. No, I guess I'm going to force the opponent to throw their energy here first, which I think is definitely fine. They go for Dragon Claw. I'll probably look to come into my Grumpig. Oh, I didn't want to miss a line and get the Ice move on my Jump Off, so that's why I stayed in to take that farm down basically. Now that I think about it, that's what I was thinking at the time. The opponent brings in their own Jump Off, I bring in mine. We live 1 Acrobatics, 2 Aces gets them relatively low here, so this is quite a close matchup. As you can see, that does roughly 30%. They're going to need to throw 2 moves no matter what, 1 Acrobatics and 1 Ace. We should hopefully be able to get this low enough to the point where we can look to basically Dynamic Punch it. And we do land this next Ace here. The opponent's down to about 25%, so whenever they're in the red health, it's 25% basically. The opponent takes me out with an Ace, and of course the opponent swaps out knowing that I probably will throw the move pretty quickly. I anticipate the catch, farm the opponent's Arctibax all the way down, go for Shadow Ball. That's good games well played. So we're going to check out the Pikachu Libre. After 20 seasons, do I finally get a shiny? To be fair, I haven't played all 20 seasons, so I can't really complain too much. But in any case, folks, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, it's very much appreciated. Helps the YouTube algorithm. Not the Pokemon Go algorithm, unfortunately, though. Drop me a comment down below, let me know what you think about the Ferret Grumpig Cup. That's basically what it is, right? It's a pretty strong core. You can run that with pretty much any Ferret at this point, and it's probably a decent team. But with that, we're up to 3056. If you want to see the sequel to this, go check out Henry's video. And I want to say a big thank you to Jamie Finn as well. He showcased me run up to 2900 last week. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all later for a stream, and hopefully soon for another video.